Call the meeting to order. Let the roll call show that Councilor Gerald is absent tonight. And our next order of business is pledge of allegiance. We pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, that brings us to number 3 on the agenda. Mille Lacs County Board of Appeal and Equalization. The floor is yours.
Okay, we've got one appointment and 3 recommendations. The first appointment is Gage Keegan. He's got the lot in Rivertown Crossing that the laundromat's being built on. And he thinks that our value is too high. I indicated there's nothing I can do about it. I can't just adjust one value based on one sale. So I'll kind of show you the history. You kind of have the history of Rivertown Crossing. Our last sale, aside from Mr. Keegan, is 6 years old. And that's not, well, one of them's not even in Rivertown Crossing. That's the Minco Bank land sale. On the back page kind of gives you the sale date and our value and what it sold for originally as unimproved. Again, that's why Mr. Keegan's here. Because we can't, off of one sale, just go directly to what he paid for it. We need more information than that. Actually, it's called, if we were to do that, it's called steering and it's illegal. So I'll let him present the information he has to the council, and then you can go ahead and make your decision. But like I said, the assessor's office does not have any recommendations to do anything with the value. Mr. Keegan?
Yep.
So the lot that we purchased was on the market for, it was first listed about 4 years ago for 275,000. Then they reduced it after about a year to 250,000. They kept it on the market for 793 days. Did not sell it, pulled it off the market once the contract was up with the realtor, relisted it, and it sat on the market for an additional at 250,000 for 193 days after that. They then pulled it from the market again, and then they proceeded to try and develop on there. They were not approved for what they wanted to build. They wanted to put storage units, so then they wanted to sell the lot. We then approached them and purchased it for 150,000, which is 75,000 less than what we're assessed at right now. I would say it's one sale maybe doesn't dictate a market, but the fact that nothing is selling in that area currently, or hasn't sold in a very long time, dictates that what people are asking for is too much, or the assessed values are probably too high in that area, being that they were more than happy to sell it. I offered them 150,000. We closed in a week. They were ready to move on it because they had sat on it for 15 years just about. So the property's overvalued in my opinion, probably by quite a bit. I mean, I would think that we would be able to fall closer to the amount that we purchased the property for. It sat on the market during a time where real estate was kind of going crazy. We have locations in North Branch, Forest Lake, and in Cambridge. And in all of those areas, commercial real estate was going and selling. And so if this area is not, it's probably because it was overpriced.
They have any questions for Gage? Is that
Yeah, Gage. Yep.
And you are RDF Incorporated?
Yep.
Okay. So the question is, do we want to grant even a reevaluation on it? Okay, we could do that.
Do we even have that, that authority?
Yes, I believe we do. Whether we do or not, that's the question. That's what you recall too, right, Jeff?
Yes.
Correct me if I'm wrong, so we can defer changing the value and they can still go to the county, correct?
Correct.
Yeah.
And the reason that one sale does not, you can't change the value based on one sale, even though it's an actual sale.
Correct. We need more information than that, more data. In fact, the Department of Revenue, in order to get a valid ratio, needs at least 6 sales. In small town commercial, we don't really get 6 good sales countywide. So what they do is they do a 5-year look back, see if they can develop a trend. There's been no trend developed on those bare lots, so.
I would like to question why that is. I mean, if everybody's asking for a reasonable amount for the lots, it's not like there's not development right now. And it would only benefit me and every other business owner now in that area if we saw development there. So it's, and it ultimately ends up bringing more tax dollars into the city as well. And more amenities for its residents.
No, and I understand, more development is good, and there we've watched those lots be empty for a long time. So you have a valuation that you put on this. How was that valuation determined?
That valuation has been determined by previous assessors. We basically are at $4.75 a square foot up till the first acre. Then that square foot rate halves. And then for whatever overages on an acre, that's how we've got it valued. So half of $4.75 on anything over the first 43,560 square feet. And we've got that valued the same throughout that whole Rivertown Crossing development.
And you said the only other sale was the Minco Bank building. Is that in this list?
Yeah, it should be on the very
It's at the
bottom.
It's actually mislabeled. It's mislabeled on the map. That's why I didn't see it.
And if I may too, to price all of those lots at the same price per square foot, I don't think is accurate either, because accessibility and visibility is a big deal, and where Midco is closer to the intersection and closer to the turn-in is way more desirable than my lot. I'm tucked behind Walmart with less visibility and less accessibility. And depending on what business you're in, that's a big deal. We're a missions business. People go out to do their laundry, so that lot works for us, but it's probably less desirable for certain businesses too. So if I were to try and sell my lot compared to Midco's lot on the corner, I would have less options than them.
You do have good visibility though from 169.
We do, but we're on the south end of that as well compared to the lots on the north side of us. Our visibility increasingly gets worse from 169, which is why we put our sign on the back of the building as far north as we could too, to increase that visibility. But obviously, I don't want to diminish the fact I like the spot. We've invested a lot of money into developing this laundromat there, and we think that it's going to be a great location for us. But does it match? Should we be valued at the exact same price per square foot as somebody that's on the corner of the intersection? Should we be priced at the same price per square foot as even somebody that's on the north side of me that has better visibility than me? And better access? And even as far as that goes, the lot just to the north of me has been listed for about 100,000 more than my lot. So for them to even be close to the same assessed value feels different to me. My lot sat on the market for 1,000 days, roughly at 250,000. Theirs is still sitting on the lot, so that's maybe not worth 350, but they already put in that it's 100,000 more than mine, based on what their asking prices were.
I wasn't following the last, what you were saying. So you're saying,
The lot between me and where the Verizon like strip mall is, or not strip mall, but you know, that mall area. The lot in between us, the last I checked, was on the market for somewhere between 325 and 350. I believe it was 350. I had been shopping around at all of those lots, so some of the numbers I don't have right off the top of my head. But that one was dramatically more than mine. And a big portion of that, or reason for that, would be accessibility and visibility.
yeah, I don't know if it's the next lot. I don't know that accessibility and visibility makes that much difference.
Well, that's 295, not 350.
Well, that's not the list price. That's the,
Okay.
That was the last time it sold, 6 years ago.
Okay.
Mhm.
So, but they are still asking, 295, or 300?
295 makes more sense.
So Dave, can I just clarify?
Yes.
So your columns on the back page, the first column is what you have as the assessed value.
Yep, 2024's assessed value,
Okay,
estimated market value.
okay, so, but I think Mr. Keegan's numbers are.
Oh, that's wrong. Should be flip flopped. I'm sorry.
Is that
We
the
have-
whole roll?
Yeah. 224.5 is what we've got it valued at, and we bought it for 150.
So the lot
So that's-
Mr. Keegan is referencing is currently assessed at, or has an estimated market value of 202,800. And it last sold in 2018 at 295,924.
No. It's 224.5 is what we have for an estimated market value. And it sold for 150.
No, I'm talking
The other
about I'm talking about the lot just above his clear view.
Oh, sure, yep.
So your estimated market value on
It's
that lot,
202.8, yep,
and it last sold in 2018 at 295,925.
correct.
Okay, I just want to make sure that,
Yep, I'm sorry, yep, that's right.
okay,
And then previous, on Mr. Keegan's lot, that sold in, 2008 for $342,798. So they took quite a hit when he purchased it.
Okay.
value in the sale is different. Okay, they're switched over.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that. It's my bad.
Do you have an extra one of those that I can see so that I can see what everybody else is looking at? So
Basically, it's just an overview,
got it.
and then kind of you can see the parcel numbers there a little bit better. And then the mistake I made was this should be here and this should be there.
Gotcha, yeah, okay. Yeah, so the land above me is valued less than mine. And yet it sold for a lot more than theirs.
right, but a lot of these sales are
Old,
very old.
yeah.
And so we're just talking about the bare lot,
Correct.
Correct.
right?
Yep, this is all just bare land. And I know that they're different markets, but I'd like to point out too that we have, this is gonna be our 10th location, and we have very comparable land, I would say, in Cambridge, and a smaller lot, but comparable as far as visibility and off Main Street and North Branch. And our valuations are about 100,000 or more less than what this one is. And I actually just got a reduction on mine in Cambridge because they tried to bump us up and they came back and realized that they had a numbers flipped around on how big our lot was and brought it back down to where it should be.
Anybody?
Well, it does seem like, I mean, obviously these properties are taking a lot of time on the market, but when they do sell, they, the other ones, when they've been selling, they have been selling for similar to the market value or similar to the estimated market value.
Well, and that's the tough thing here, assuming that there's, appreciation and value from, say, 2012 to now. Granted, this was 150 for, this sale, but so there's nothing that changes until there are 6 sales.
Well, no, like I said, there was a 5-year look back. If they can develop a trend, if the Department of Revenue kind of develops a trend that we have to abide by, then we have to abide by that. If we, and basically it's just whatever level of assessment we're at. It's basically our ratio. We have to be within 90 to 105% of what things are selling for. The problem is, even this year, there's 2 commercial sales in the city of Princeton. One we were right on with and one we were low. So until we get enough data to make a move, we're gonna adjust the value, how much based on what, is kind of the question. I'd love to lower it, but like I said, we can't just lower one parcel. We would have to lower all of the parcels in that area in Rivertown Crossing. If we just lowered his as the assessor's office, like I said, that's called spearing and that's illegal. But you guys have the, you guys can make it a move on that value. If you would so choose. That's kind of why we're here.
So,
Because I can't do it, but
My-
you guys can, that's why I kind of provided you with the data I did. Basically the same data we're looking at, old sales, and historically, we've been low on all of them, low sale. Or old sales, I should say.
But they're all old and
Again, that's
In order
what I
to-
have to work with.
no, and I understand, but if everybody's gonna continue to ask for astronomical prices in that area, it's only gonna stunt the growth in that development. And then how long do we have to wait for a reassessment?
But again, everybody's being valued the exact same way, depending on the size of the lot.
Yeah, but I would even argue too that I don't think that we should all be valued the exact same in that development, because I do think that there are lots that are more
And if we
desirable.
had sales that indicated that, this half sold, for less or more, we would probably make that adjustment, but right now, we don't have that data. We simply don't have it.
So when you're talking about developing a trend or having enough to do the value,
Yeah, because,
whatever they call it. So what would be comparable? All commercial, retail commercial?
well, right now, countywide, we're sitting on what, 96%. So countywide, our commercial values are right in compliance with the Department of Revenue. Now, do we have some spots, in our small cities or, that we're not in compliance? Probably because we don't have the sales. but countywide, we're good. So. And like I said, you know, our sales year starts October 1st of any given year, wraps around to, September 30th of the next year. That's the sales year that we get to look at. Well, like I mentioned earlier, you know, to get a valid ratio for the Department of Revenue, you need at least 6 sales. Well, like I said, we're lucky if we get 6 sales countywide that are good sales. And again, we do that, we call it a small sample size, and it's a 5-year look back. And the Department of Revenue will direct us if our values are low. Right now, countywide, we're at 96, so we didn't have to lower and we didn't have to raise them this year. So
Historically, though, our commercial ratio has been.
that have been low.
Meaning we're undervalued.
I would have to say, you know, I mean, your formula has shown to be accurate, you know, within the guidelines. So, I mean, obviously there are going to be anomalies up and down. So I don't think we can really say that this year is the trend. Obviously, there's a lot of time in between sales on these properties because you have to have exactly the right situation and, you know.
Yeah, and if there's more sales that indicate that we're high on our values, then we would have to lower our values. Just like we did in the building values in the city of Princeton, on the residential side, the buildings went down, the land went up because the land is selling for a lot more than what we had on it. So, most people saw a little bit of reduction on the residential side, even though our land went up to 50,000, per lot. But the buildings dropped enough that, most people saw a reduction in their value this year. On the commercial side, you know, like I said, we had 2 sales. One, we were right in 95%, and the other one, we were, what's in that? Here. Yeah, the other one, we were low.
And I'm not saying that some of their valuations are accurate in other areas, but for my lot to sit on the market for 1,000 days at 250,000 and not get an offer that they were willing to take, and obviously not an offer willing to take between 150,000 and 250,000 for 1,000 days that it sat on the market, and our valuation is higher than our neighbors, even if we're at the same price per square foot. Our total, I mean, he has the numbers flipped here, which makes it kind of look deceiving to some degree, but if you put 224 next to my neighbors north and south of me, I'm paying more than them already. And my land sold for dramatically less than what theirs did.
And it's all based on the square footage.
Right.
So depending, if you have a bigger lot, then you have a little bit more value.
So I'm not,
That's why we're not really comparing you with Aldi's or Walmart, because they have quite a bit more land.
Sure.
I mean, the same methodology in our valuation. It's still up to the first acre is $4.75, and then it halves for the rest of the square foot.
and so that, so when you say that have a higher valuation than your neighbors, that's not right, according to this page.
It is, it's just that he has the values flipped. So instead of where he has the value of my lot at 150, it's actually 224.
Right. That's
In the sale prices.
Let's change that on my sheet. so
Okay.
I can see that, but
So my neighbor north of me, it shows on here 202, and then neighbor south of me is at 217.
No, those were the sale prices. Oh, no, every column is. switched.
those values have been reached using the formula.
No, the only one that's wrong is Mr. Keegan's. You need to put 224 as the estimated land value
Correct.
and 150 as the sales price.
Correct.
Yeah.
All the other examples or data that Dave has given you are in the right.
Any difference in values is from the difference in square footage
Correct.
on those, properties.
What was
In
it?
EMP.
It was, sorry, when you said that they were swapped, I thought that was all of them.
I do.
And the only one we're really high on, even though it was a 2007 sale, aside from Mr. Keegan's, is the Rivertown Investors. That was a 2007 sale, and we're $1,400 higher than what it sold for back in 2007.
which is-
Otherwise, we're quite a bit under most all of the rest of them as far as our value.
I know this is only an opinion, but the property 2 lots north of me is valued at 167,000, and that's right off the intersection of where you would turn into Walmart and, or directly as you're coming down, driving down to Walmart, you will see their building. I would gladly take their lot over mine, even if it was a quarter of an acre smaller. I think the value of that is way higher than mine, and their assessed value is 167,000. Which is way more in line with what I actually bought my property for.
Is that property significantly smaller then? That's
Yes,
why you have the smaller, okay. So it's the same formula.
Yep.
Right, but that's kind of to my point is that the size of the land isn't 100% the value. Location is very much everything in business, and this is all commercial lots. This is not just residential real estate where it's just as big of a land as you got. This is all about location.
Now, if we're gonna start putting that kind of an emotional value on property, we're gonna be in trouble. So we have to stick to a formula. I don't see how we get away from that. I mean, I hear what you're saying. I understand what you're saying. But at an evaluation point, if we start lowering values, that it raises everybody else's value in essence, and that's where the problem comes in. I'd like to make everybody's tax bill go down to it. That doesn't happen without making somebody's go up, so. I'm not comfortable changing the value. That doesn't mean you don't have recourse, but, I don't think it's important or appropriate that we change it.
Our three options, do we have three options? Lower it, keep it, or pass it on to the county?
yeah, or you can raise it too.
Okay, I mean, those are,
I
okay,
mean,
4 options,
Four options.
but those are our, okay.
Right, yeah.
And that's all we get to do. We can't put a special value on any property because we like it or just like it. It's just, do we change the value?
I think that would have to meet everybody.
Yeah, and the same formula is being used across the board, so, you know, your point is well taken, the property that's been vacant for years aren't selling, but that's not because of the valuation, it's because I'm not going there either.
I would like to move the number of county.
We have to do 1, 2, 3, 4.
If you're gonna make a motion and you don't want to change it, just say you don't want to change the value.
And then if we do that, then it does give the gentleman an opportunity to go to the next step.
You can go to the next step, which would be the county, and if he's not happy there, you can take it on to state something, right?
Tax court.
Yeah, the county would be tax court.
And I would agree that where we're at, I think.
Okay, we'll make that motion.
Do you have a motion to not change the value, Jack?
Pass
Well,
number of
we can,
Oh, you're making it?
That's,
county.
that's
I
a
made
different motion.
Yeah.
So who's making,
I haven't made a motion yet. I'm
No.
Clarifying what's going
It's
on.
going off my motion.
which is not changed?
Not change it and send it off to the county. Let him have that option.
Well, does they have that option anyway?
Yeah.
Those are two different things, aren't they, though? Either we're gonna pass it on to the county or we're going to keep the value.
Right. I think the appropriate thing is you say, as far as we're concerned, we keep the value
Okay,
the same.
No change. Not gonna change the value, no change.
And his ability to go to the county to the next step is his ability to go
I
to
see
the
what
county
you're
to the next
okay.
step.
And that's your motion to be.
Yeah, that's my
I'll
motion.
second that.
Okay.
Motion made in seconds. Is there additional discussion? All in favor, say aye. Opposed? That carries. Sorry we couldn't help you, but you still have options.
Yeah.
So-
Absolutely. All right. Well, thank you very much for your time. Appreciate it.
Good luck there.
Okay, we have a couple more.
This is the annex. Or the properties that were annexed in. We didn't receive the paperwork. And then when we did receive it, it was within the 10 days of, before this meeting. So we do have to bring it to the council or the local board of equalization. To get action on it. Because when we moved it from Princeton Township into Princeton City, we've got a different building location factor, and so it raised the value a little bit. And so we would just like to make or have board or council action to approve that valuation increase on these three that were annexed into the city. Sure. And the recommendation is kind of midway through the deal. And then the total adjustment, they're all positives, you know, one's a 10,000. One's a minus 800, I guess the bare land one. And then, the other one's a minus 12,000, I guess, too. So I thought they were all positive, but.
I think the one of them was going up.
Yeah, one of them went up. And the other ones went down, it looks like, but they still was a valuation change, so we still need, board action on it. That's our recommendation.
Copies, but I.
Sure.
That's what we can tell us what they're doing. Correct. And I have enough to go by. Is that your only copy?
No, we can make one. Which ones do you have?
So and these numbers are pulled and based off of the book that I just looked at with all the,
Excuse me?
these numbers, the changing of these numbers goes off of the book that I looked at earlier.
No, Princeton Township, because when we adjust our values, we have what's called a location adjustment, and it raises or lowers, our building value. And then different land values for Princeton City compared to Princeton Township. So when we move them over from the annexation, the values changed because now it's on a different schedule, different building and land, schedule. So that's the difference between each of those properties when we moved them over,
Okay.
is what we're doing.
And so what you need from us?
So, yeah, just a motion to accept that valuation adjustment on those three.
Okay.
I think you can do them all as a group.
Okay. I'll make that motion then.
I'll second.
Motion made and second to accept the recommendations from Mille Lacs County to adjust market value. on 3 parcels. That, what everybody understands? Any more discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? All right, that passes.
And that is all I have.
All right. Well, thank you.
Can we get a motion to adjourn this meeting?
I don't know that we ever opened this meeting.
Motion to adjourn then?
Second. Motion, made to adjourn the Board of Appeal and Equalization. Is there any more discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? This meeting is over.
Over.
Adjourned.
Adjourned.
Thank you.
Just the Board of Appeal and Equalization, we have some a little bit.
Yeah.
And then everybody received an information packet?
Yeah, it's in their electronic,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
All right, that brings us to our own agenda for our meeting. Is there anybody that has additions or deletions for the agenda?
I have none, Mr. Mayor.
So we have a motion to approve the agenda.
Motion made and seconded. Any more discussion on the agenda? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Carries. That brings us to the consent agenda. Is there anything that, council would like to remove from the consent agenda? If not, I'll take a motion to approve.
So moved. Or you want this one?
The second, I do have a question, I hope you want to hold it. 5-7. Is that the, whatever company we hired?
Yes.
I think I'll know what the name of the company was.
Yes.
Ashley, you're good? Nope. Okay. Anybody else? Take a motion. Do we have a motion?
Yes.
Motion.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's right. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Aye, opposed? Also carry. Okay, that brings us to open forum. This is the part of the meeting where if you have something that is not on the agenda, this is your chance to voice your opinion. We're not going to discuss legal matters. We'll limit your time to 3 minutes, and I think we have huge house, so it's not going to make that big of a difference if you go over by a couple seconds, so. Are you on the agenda, Ken?
I am, but what I'm gonna talk about isn't.
Okay,
I am Ken Murray, Wyandotte Township. Every year we have, training for MAT, Minnesota Association of Townships. And it involves a lot of people. There's 1,806 townships in 87 counties. And a team of lawyers, teachers go to all these meetings all the way, total Minnesota, all the way from one end to the other. I was surprised this year, what did they talk about? Well, we talk about everything, but we talked about the city of Princeton and Baldwin Township. And it comes up at every meeting statewide. You guys are famous. I wanted to let you know that.
all right.
I'm not gonna discuss what was said. I just thought it was interesting and I was surprised because he had some pictures up on the board and stuff, but it involves thousands of people. So just information, that's all it was. Thanks.
I think we'll be hearing about that for a long time.
I think so.
All right, so we're to old business, and the first one on there is mine. I don't know which way to go with this. I can either give you a narrative, or I can ask for a reconsider motion without any obligation to change what we talked about last time. And I'll make a motion to reconsider the park dedication fees. Again, I think that's probably the appropriate first step. And if you would indulge me with a second, I will kind of go through a narrative of the event that happened in this last week or so.
Second.
So you have a motion and a second to reconsider, Jeff Reynolds second. Is there any discussion on the motion to reconsider?
I just like a motion, it's like table and.
Okay, so we're just open?
Just vote it.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you. All right, so last Saturday I met with
Oh,
Mr.
we need a vote.
Yeah, we gotta say all in favor.
Oh.
Right.
Yeah.
All right,
You-
in favor?
Finish our.
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, we carried. So I'll kind of give you a timeline of what happened. Kind of an overview on the discussion as far as what I heard. And then, I'm sorry, your name is, you're from First Bank, right?
Yes, yeah. You're on behalf of that.
Okay, and Pat's on virtual here, so. All right, so last Saturday I met with Mr. Briggs. We had a discussion about his projects. And he shared with me the difficulties of funding these projects. Regarding the park dedication fees, he was surprised about the increase in fees. He updated our fee schedule, so that was the reason for the increase. His latest proposal was to do, he was asking for $900 a unit on the phase 3, which is half of what the fee schedule says, and regular fees on the remainder. So phase 3 is a 66 unit project, and the phase 4 is 100 unit. Also, I met with, and also he stated that there wouldn't be any negotiation on any subsequent phases. So I mean, he's fine with the 1,800 going forward. He's looking for a lower park dedication fee for just this next phase, phase 3, 66 unit building. And so my response to him was, we'll see if the council would reconsider, and that's where we are right at the moment. Since then, I attended the park board meeting and asked them what they thought, because it's their purview, and that's where we were the last meeting. In the discussion, there was 4 there. There were 2 hard no's and 2, I don't like it, but I'm kind of in the middle. Does that seem accurate? When they voted on the matter, it was 4-0 opposed. So that is the timeline and the events as I know them. Does that sound right, Pat? I think you're still muted. Oh,
How
How about now? Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now.
Okay. I'm sorry. I'm probably not as tech savvy as I wish I was, or my daughters are, but so please bear with me as I'm going through this technology learning curve. But yes, sir, that is accurate.
Okay, is there anything you would like to add to that before you hand it over to, I'm sorry, I forgot your name.
Greg.
Greg.
Yeah, I would, and first and foremost, I just want to thank everybody for giving us the opportunity to come back and to work on this. Really, it's an opportunity, and the opportunity is for all of us to proceed forward with this large project, and it's a complicated project that has required many applications to get us to this point. Through that application process, I had entered the park dedication fee, which was the same rate as phase 1 and phase 2. And as we progressed through that application process, that number was on our sworn construction statement that was reviewed by all of us, staff, council and myself. And that park dedication fee was $40,000. And again, this is a fairly lengthy process through this application last year to go through the TIF application, zoning, site planning, et cetera. So going through that process, I entered 40,000 for the park dedication fee, and which was 37,000 plus 10%. In the middle, in the transition between phase 2 and phase 3, we've had a significant change in our financial environment with this project. And the change has been the interest rates have went basically double. And so I haven't done a project for a while with a large lender like US Bank. I've used some community banks on phase 1 and 2. And during that process with US Bank, it is a very stringent, strict process. The sworn construction statement, which shows the $40,000, was approved by US Bank, and I overlooked the fact that that fee tripled. I overlooked that personally. And I think a lot of us overlooked it, and it's simply just all of us being human. Nobody did it intentionally. We all really enjoy working with each other. It's been one of my favorite projects I've done. And that's just, I think, because of the commitment from all of us to proceed forward and find solutions as the problems come up through this project and all these developments that we're working on. And so when I learned that US Bank, our lender, had said, Pat, there is no more room, period. It was extremely concerning to me because I've already exceeded my normal threshold of what we would be required to put into a project, what I'd be required to put into a project personally. And so I got to a point where I thought to myself, well, I really do want to proceed forward with this project. And if I can't get phase 3 done, I can't get phase 4, 5, or 6 done. And this project is a little more unique, I think, than other projects within the city in the sense of the size of the dollars that we're working with. And with that, I want to turn it over to Greg at US Bank to kind of talk about the size of projects and the challenges that he is facing from the lending perspective, that we can't increase our first mortgage, which is where, of course, a majority of our funds are coming from. With that being said, Greg, I'd like to turn it over to you to share with council a little bit about your experience and how long we've been working together trying to get this approved, and kind of where US Bank's at from a credit analysis and underwriting perspective.
Yeah, thanks, Pat. I appreciate that. Myself, I'm actually from Fort. I know your city very well. I go to Christ Our Lady, I'm a member. I want to see Princeton grow and succeed. With multifamily right now at US Bank, the issue we're coming across is because of the interest rate environment. There's few and far between. You need to have a TIF in place, so thank you for providing that. But even with that right now, it's tight, extremely tight. I'm right up against it with this project because of the interest rate environment. It's at the point where I cannot expand beyond where I'm at from a lending authority. I've been going through this for about 9 months now. It took longer than we had hoped. For that reason, we're up against it, just to be frank with you. And yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, it's up to Pat if he wants to kick in his additional equity or not into this. But a typical project, I don't see a borrower putting in where he's at right now and going above and beyond that. We have what's called a debt service covenant. And he's right there. And we do not flex on that at US Bank. I mean, it's just who we are. We want the best deals from a credit standpoint. At where it's at right now, it's still a good deal. For us to go beyond that, it becomes a bad deal when we just won't do it. I don't know what else to tell you at this point.
Any questions for either Scott or Greg? Any questions for staff?
You know, if I may, Mr. Mayor, if I may just add one thing just for some clarification of what our request would be this evening. Would that be appropriate for me to so the request this evening is for us to all recognize that first and foremost that I've had an oversight with this line item, and staff, I think, would agree going through it after review that there's so many numbers and it's so complex that I think it was just honestly missed by all of us. I would like to request to have help. And I'd like to request that help to be given to us on phase 3 and to have it not be at we originally had proposed, but to increase that number to the $59,400, which is $900 per door. With it being $900 per door, I don't have that approved with our lender. I have the $40,000, which is $600 per door. I have that approved with our lender. I cannot increase my loan to make up that difference. I'm already at a point where it almost makes just as much sense to take the amount of money personally that I would put into this project to leave it into a money market fund and get 6% rate of return without all the risk. So I've said to myself, you know, with all of us together tonight, if we all can just give a little bit, we can at least proceed forward with a very sizable project. And so the request would be to increase the dollar amount from the 40,000 and increase that to 60,000. So I'll have to come in with another $20,000 personally to pay for this fee. And I'm happy to be and take responsibility for that. So that's my request. With that request, I understand and I'm very grateful and very just appreciative to be able to proceed forward with phase 4, 5, and 6 at the $1,800 per fee. At least it can get me off the ground with this phase. And we can take and put $60,000 in our park and rec fund and have another $500,000 in future phases, 4, 5, and 6 at $1,800 per unit, which would be able to continue to help fund park and rec in the future. With that being said, I'm just looking forward to working together to proceed forward as one team. Thank you for just listening to my request.
One more thing, too, just real quick, I wanted to mention is when we started this year, our economists told us they expected 6 rate decreases over the course of the year. That's gone from 3 to 2, where last week they told us 0, possibly increase. If this keeps on going up, I mean, not only this deal, I'm not few and far between while we get any loans done. So I mean, that's.
If I understand this correctly, if the park dedication fees for phase 3 are reduced to $900, and it brings it to $59,400, which she rounded up to $60,000. So with that reduction, this project will go through.
We have it at 40,000 actually, so that's if Pat is willing to go ahead and contribute that additional approximately $20,000, then yes. I mean, we can't, I don't know right now.
No, but I heard Pat say that.
Yep,
you were
then it's done,
More than willing to do
then it's
that.
done.
Okay, in the future, I mean, I don't know that he's come to you with phase 4.
Phase 4.
I'm sure.
What was the question?
She is saying you need to come to me for phase 4.
No,
Pat.
have you
Can
gone?
we shake on that?
No, phase, I think,
I,
go ahead, Pat.
no, you know something, I want to follow your lead.
I was
It's
just
nice
gonna
to see you, Miss McPherson.
Oh, thanks, Pat. It's been a while. Based on the schedule in the TIP developers agreement, I think there's roughly a 2-year build out.
Okay,
So if something is decided tonight and the project can move forward, phase 3 will go in first. And then it'll take a while to get that built and finished up before. And so hopefully the lending environment in 18 months to 2 years will have changed.
mhm,
So,
That's spot on.
yeah,
you know,
and the increase occurred in the middle of all this.
It did.
You know, from phase 1 to phase 3 now, the increase in park dedication fees,
I
correct?
don't know that we had a real solid park dedication fee when phase 1 and 2 happened,
Yeah,
correct. I
which
think,
is where some of the problem is.
okay, that's what I thought, that was,
And, you know, to add to that, while the park board did ultimately approve that number, they were kind of, they kind of got cut out of the decision-making process and it was decided for them. So they're pretty adamant about, you know, the fees need to be what the fees are. That's their position. That sound right?
Yes.
Okay.
they taking into account to have a fishing pond going in?
I don't know that that's necessarily real yet, but
Yep, they got park equipment going up there.
just, let's just keep on the actual project, but yes.
Yeah, so. I mean, I'm okay with it.
By the way, I would not object if we want to go back to the 40,000. I want you to know that I would fully support that if you change your mind.
You know, we're trying to get to yes, and we need to not make it harder than yes. I don't know.
You know, I fully appreciate what, I think I've got my head around it. You just need a little boost.
Yeah,
Keep the thing going, kind of like the bottom line is. It's not our fault, but stuff happened internally that, not our fault, but it happened. But we're a player in the game.
I just want to say that I am not going to make a motion to change it. And I don't even think I want to vote on it, because I've been too much in the discussion. So you guys are gonna have to do the lift on this one if you want to do it.
I'll make the motion to give the reduction in park dedication fees down to the 60,000 or 59,900.
59.4.
yeah, can I suggest a wording for your motion?
Sure, I would appreciate
Just so that it's
that.
clear. Motion to approve a park dedication amount for phase 3 in the amount of $59,400. and in the amount of $180,000 for phase 4.
Okay.
That would reflect $900 per door in phase 3 and the full $1,800 per door in phase 4.
Okay, so moved.
I'm gonna second it.
Got a motion and a second. Is there additional discussion? Hearing no discussion, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And I am not voting on that, so that passes 3-0.
Yeah, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Greg. There you go, Pat.
Thank you. I really
Celebrate.
just, yeah, I just, I'll never forget this. I'll never forget this, everybody. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Good night.
There you go.
Oh, thank you.
All right. Okay, then, fire building.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, members of the council, I think we're close on fire building. I put together a memo. I had an opportunity to speak with Wynette resident Melgren after the last meeting. I think between my calculations, his double checking, we're within $100. I think we've in concept, in principle, have agreed that that's as close as we're gonna get. So I put together a memo, reiterating on the operating side for Wynette for 2022 and 2019, plus Spencer Brook for 2022. However, in moving and looking at the numbers, if we are going back as far as the 2019 billing for 2018 for Wynette, it's only fair and consistent that we treat all the remaining partners consistently. So there would be, based on the numbers in the memo, additional refunds to the remaining townships, except for Bogus Brook. They were actually undercharged, but I'm not gonna recommend that we ask them for that $1,000 back. As I noted on the April 11th memo, in terms of how we get this money back to the townships, because we haven't sent out the bills for 2024 for 2023 services, I'm recommending that we just do a deduct and call it even. Now, in terms of the truck, the error in the truck fund charge to Wynette Township, that amount is not in this week's memo, but it was in last 2 weeks ago memo, which is $34,272. I'm looking for nodding, please. That money is not in this year's budget for 2024. Right now, we're in the middle of the 2023 audit. When we approved the purchase of Tender 2, we knew we were going to expend all the funds in the truck fund, plus we would need to transfer dollars from the equipment fund temporarily for the truck fund. So I am recommending that, yes, we do pay Wynette. However, until I get through the audit and figure out what that fund balance is in the truck fund, I'd like to delay determining where we're going to pull those funds from. As an alternative, we would budget those dollars as part of the 2025 budget in the unallocated department. So between now and the next, give or take 3 months, for the auditors to finish up all the adjustments, and I can get a better number on the truck fund and have some conversations with Wynette. I don't have a strong recommendation for you in terms of how we're going to, where we're gonna pull the money from to refund the truck overpayment to Wynett. But just know that that's the amount. And at some point in the next 3 to 4 months, I'll be coming back to you with a recommendation. So, as of right now, my recommendation does say to delay it to 2025. But I'm reserving the right to come back to you before then if we can figure out a source of dollars. So with that, my recommendation is that we do these refunds as noted in this memo. And that we do that as part of the a reduction in the operating bills for 2023.
Okay, a lot of sliding zeros and other numbers here, so, everybody getting the grasp on what's proposed? So just on your memo, you have Princeton listed there, that's Princeton Township, right?
That is correct. That is Princeton Township.
Do we get a refund?
No, unfortunately, I think we're gonna be, it's a very expensive mistake for us to absorb,
Definitely.
unfortunately.
Now, moving forward,
So moving forward, we have a fire advisory board meeting next week. I've been talking with the members about different ways to do billing. We all agree, I believe, and Ken, you can just nod or yes, that the contract needs work. So there's the current version of the contract, there's the Minnesota Association of Townships version of a contract. And I just happened to be doing an internet search for fire contracts, and I happened to trip over one from the city of Kenyon, who is a very similar situation to ours. And they do it completely, totally different. It's based on land area served and a straight percentage of what the city absorbs versus what the townships pay for. And I will be bringing to the fire advisory board a comparison using an estimated budget for 24 so that they can look at what the numbers will look like based on all those 3 different scenarios. So I think we can all agree that the simpler we make this for everyone that's involved, I think is a better route to take. So all I can say is stay tuned.
okay, yeah. We don't want this,
But we are working on it. Everybody acknowledges that there are definitely flaws in the system, and we need to figure out how to make things simpler for everybody.
So you're not looking for any action tonight, this is an update?
I am looking for you to concur with my recommendation to refund the amounts noted in my memo to the townships and to utilize a reduction in the 2024 billing. And to obviously refund the amount for the truck fund overpayment to Wynett. But when and how we do that is still to be determined. And we'll come back to you in the next 3 to 4 months once I get through the audit. So that's my recommendation to the council.
Well, it appears pretty obvious, Michelle, you have been working your tail off.
Well, I can't, it's not just me. I had help from Karen and Mr. Milgren and Mr. Vicari, I almost called you Mr. Wynett, Mr. Murray. All provided input and assistance when asked, so.
All right, so we're looking for a motion to adjust fire billing based on this memo. I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
And I'd like to say that thankfully we have the opportunity to do it this way. I know it comes out the same in the dollars and cents, but it's easier to do it this way than writing a check out. Or asking somebody to give you money back or vice versa, in my mind.
Well, yeah, sort of.
I would
Well,
just,
the numbers still are what they are here.
All right,
I would just like to thank Council and Michelle and Brian for the work they have done. And I am in agreement of paying that in 2025. The only thing I would like to see that it's unconditional, no conditions, because we don't want to run into where somebody's gone and nobody knows what the paper is. So if we could get something in writing unconditionally and some of that payments in 2025, I'm fine with that. So
Okay.
thanks to everybody that's worked on it.
We'll come up with I'm assuming your motion included obviously the truck. Okay, so I will keep, Mr. Murray informed as we get through the audit and kind of what the plan is coming forward, when we get through the audit and when and how and where I can find the money.
So, maybe I could clarify my motion to say that the overpayment on the truck fund from Wynett can be paid no later than January 1st, 25. Not really.
Well, let's,
Let's
I mean,
say, let's say first quarter of 25.
first quarter of 25, yes.
Okay, that work?
Yeah,
I think, yeah, that's fine.
All right, so that's in our minutes, no? So, well, we'll be next week or next meeting, so,
okay, fair enough.
that's gonna have to do for now. All right, so I have a motion, who seconded?
Vicky,
Vicky? Any more discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye. Aye, opposed? That carries. All right, thermal imaging camera.
yes, Mr. Mayor, members of the council, there's two parts to this item. First of all, we have a resolution acknowledging, donation from East Central Energy Operation Roundup. We did apply for a grant, through that program. It's a no match grant. Sorry, can't speak now. To purchase, based on direction from the Fire Executive Board, a new thermal imaging camera. The department owns and operates two. One is newer. The one that we're gonna purchase this one to replace has a battery that lasts about 2 minutes, which doesn't do us a whole lot of good, or doesn't do the department a whole lot of good. So we applied for a grant from East Central Energy Operation Roundup in the amount of $8,000, which is the cost of that piece of equipment. We did not originally have it in the CIP budget. We did receive $3,000 from East Central Energy, so resolution 2417 acknowledges that, that dollar amount. The second resolution 2418 is to amend the 2024 CIP, to place the TIC into the CIP budget and to utilize the unexpended budgeted dollars, which was originally slated for the disposal of the, what I call the icky foam, which we were able to cooperatively work with a local business, and that cost to us came in at a quarter of what was budgeted. So my recommendation to the council is that we amend the budget and authorize that extra $5,000 to come out of those unutilized funds that are in the CIP. So two motions, one to acknowledge the donation, 2417, and the second one is 2418 to amend the CIP and to authorize us to purchase that.
I think we finally go ahead and open.
About a month ago,
Good.
roughly. Is that about right?
And the
Josh?
truck it came in on is gone too?
What's that?
Said in the truck it came in on is gone
The
too?
phone.
Yeah.
The phone left about a month ago, I think, right? Yep,
All right.
so.
Oh, okay.
All right, donation resolution.
I'll make a motion to approve, resolution 2417.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Discussion on East Central Energy Operation Roundup donation. Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Carries.
I make a motion to approve resolution 24-18.
Motion made and second to change the CIP and purchase a thermal imaging camera. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye. Aye, opposed? That carries.
Make that phone call, Josh. All right.
All right, fire chief hiring.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, members of the council, oh, it's not the December 11th, holy cow.
No,
my goodness.
it's April 8th.
Yeah, April 11th, sorry, I don't know why I was thinking December. We established the process for, hiring the next fire chief. We have filled panel B. Panel A is filled with the exception of the city council position. Council Gerald, has recused herself from the process, and the mayor is actually going to be out of town May 4th, so, I need, one of the 3 remaining councilors, to be willing to participate, and so you'll need to select that. And then, at the last meeting, we discussed 3 or 4 candidates. I guess I would like, your support in that if panel A, has a difficult decision and possibly you would like to send 4 to panel B, that we have that ability to do so. Just to give the panel as much flexibility to send the however many best candidates to the panel B for interviews.
All right, so we need a willing participant for May 4.
And the applicants have all been slated for May 4. We'll start at, once I get panel A firmly seated, I'll send out an email with the schedule, at least start and end time, but roughly we'll convene the panel at about 8:30 and we'll be having lunch between 11:30 and 12:30. And then, the last interview, if memory serves me correct, is about 3 o'clock. So it could be as long as 5, just depending upon how long the discussion goes with the panel. So it will be in this room on the 4th. Yes. It'll be a long day.
Volunteer?
I think Jack did. Didn't you hear him? I feel a vibe coming from that direction.
I never go nowhere anyway, so.
There's the ring here. Ring, I want to do it.
Yeah.
You good with that?
Sure.
What do you all think about that? You good?
I am good with that.
All right,
I
thank you,
heard it,
Jack.
I felt it.
Yes, thank you.
And so the other, is that what you need for that?
Yep, that's all I needed. I just,
The other question is the ability of panel A to send 4 if they feel like that's appropriate instead of 3. I know we had some discussion last week about it. But the ask is there. What do you all think?
You're not saying for sure 4, you're saying up
up
to
to,
Up to it.
4. I think having that flexibility is fine, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You'll be there, so I know you're gonna downsize it to 3, right?
Yeah, yeah, there might one, well, there probably gonna be 3.
We need to downsize it to 1. pretty
Yeah.
much.
yeah,
So,
So, all right, so we'll, the flexibility is also there for the moving the candidates on to the next step. Need a motion for that?
as long as I'm seeing consensus, that's good enough for
Okay, all
me.
right, let's move on to the bill list then.
I move to approve the April 25th check register containing check 88156 to 88211 and ACH payment 425241 in the amount of $304,357.09. And the payroll electronic payments as noted on the pay period 8 transmittal register in the amount of $83,471.06. And the pay period 8 check register in the amount of $198,386.40. including checks 88,154 to 88,155.
Second.
There's a motion and a second, question. And all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Carries. Bi-weekly report.
Still have a vacancy on the airport board. The May 6th Airport Advisory Board meeting is being rescheduled to May 14th at Chair Stokel's request. He's out of town and wants to make sure that there is a quorum since we do have that vacancy. Baldwin Township, our legal brief was submitted. Now we are just waiting for a cleanup orderly annexation and then for the judge to make her final determination, which will happen sometime within 90 days after the April 19th date. The auditors will be here next week. We had an insurance meeting, April 11th. We had been approached by another agency looking to become our agent of record, and it prompted us to kind of take a peek at our current services, and we'll be looking at the various schedules. During our discussion with Mr. Burrows, we realized that the value for the jetter truck was about half of what it should have been in terms of the replacement cost. So when Bob gets back from vacation, and Todd has been looking at things and giving additional information, like the canine shelter that's housed at Officer Cedarberg's house. That information, updated information was also provided to our insurance company. And so we're just trying to make sure, we don't want, it's a double-edged sword, so to speak. We don't want to have values that drive our premiums up so high, but for example, if the jetter truck were to fall into the river because somebody backed over the bank and we had to replace it, if we only have 250,000 on value, and in reality, it's going to cost us $500,000, we have to make up that extra 250,000 somewhere. So we want to make sure the values are close enough that we can make sure that we can afford any replacements that need to occur. We continue to work or meet weekly in regards to fire department operations. I think those meetings are still going very well. We're making sure that needs are being met and things are getting fixed as needed. The advertisement for bids for the CASA 4 7th Avenue project are being published. We're looking for a second week in May bid opening, although we are still waiting for state aid to get done with their review. I'll be attending the May 7th school district meeting to talk to them about an easement that we need for that project. And then the legislature is still meeting. CGMC noted their only update this week was Senator Mitchell's arrest, because that is going to make, because the Senate only had a 1-vote majority, moving anything through the Senate that is not supported across the aisle is going to make getting some pieces of legislation through potentially problematic to get through the legislature. So more news on that later. We'll just keep an eye on that. And then Princeton Wine and Spirits won an award at the MMB conference. And then just a number of meetings that are upcoming. And you did cancel the May 2 study session, so. All I have.
All right, any questions? All right, how about a committee report?
I gave a report.
Go ahead.
Okay, I gave a report to the chamber. of what was going on here, and Kim was actually kind of honored, she's part of the family.
Yes.
Yes. So, I mean, you know, she's kind of excited about that, but I just let them know, well, they let me know, the main thing they're working on right now is the world's biggest duck. Okay, and the Rum River Festival and getting everything in place for that and getting all the moving parts where they need to be and belong and shifting things a little bit. And as far as the vendors or the, you know, spectators where they're gonna be standing and things like that. So, you know, they're doing pretty good. They've got everything pretty much all figured out. It's just getting people in place and having it all come together. Very close.
Yeah, we met, Public Utilities met yesterday, our monthly meeting. And I'm sure everybody in the room is aware of something called PFAS, which is all of a sudden come to the surface thanks to the state, federal, and whatever change of regulations. It's a 5-year transition, but the 2 points I want to make. Public utility is on top of this. We are going to be out front. And we already have, WSB have the engineer, have the area that relates to this, and we're gonna work with them. I don't remember the gentleman's name, but he was at the meeting the other day. And Jen was too. But anyway, and the other thing that any of us here in this room, staff, elected officials, whatever, when you hear in the street, the important thing to emphasize is your water is safe. Your drinking water is safe, no issue. And that has to be the public output. We're not gonna, I could give you a whole bunch of numbers and stuff that I didn't write down, but no matter.
Well, what is this you're referring to, Peggy?
So PFAS are a family of chemicals. They've been around since the early 40s. They're basically what makes things waterproof. So waterproofing materials, your nonstick coatings on various frying pans, cookware, those types of things. They are what are termed forever chemicals, because you literally can't destroy them. Other than under extreme high temperatures of incineration. The icky foam that I was talking about earlier, the reason we got rid of it is because that foam contained that family of chemicals, and they have determined that those chemicals are carcinogenic. And so the federal EPA did not have standards, and last 2 weeks ago, they set the standard at 4 parts per trillion, which is it depends on who you ask, but it's a very small amount and a very large amount of water. PUC has been voluntarily testing its water for these chemicals. They were doing a project with the Minnesota Department of Health. The state had set kind of a rough guideline. People much smarter than me who have chemistry degrees, engineering degrees, everything else. They've been studying this at the federal level for a long time. And so the federal government set its limits, just like they set limits for, arsenic and everything else that's in your drinking water. They set this limit, and now those cities that have this particular set of chemicals in their water, so peas, little teeny tiny peas, Hastings, there's like 22 cities that were on this list. They have 5 years to develop a plan on how to address the issue. And from what I've read, which I haven't read a lot about it, but the solution is, very expensive. And the DuPonts and the 3Ms, and there was one other company. There's been, class action lawsuits. They've been settled, so there'll be money coming, but of course, when you have a class action lawsuit, you also have some very expensive high buck attorneys who are gonna get a chunk of those dollars, and then the rest of it comes to the cities that need to address the issue. So the biggest part of this has been in the East Metro, where the 3M plant is located. And because these chemicals are slippery, they also tend to move. So they're finding that the plume, that's what they call when you have a chemical contaminant in water, it's a plume. It can move. And so they're finding that it's moving in the East Metro. So,
And that's through the aquifer, okay?
Yep. So again, this is one of those topics where there's a lot of data out there. It's very high level science. It's very complicated. But this is one of those things where you're just gonna have to stay tuned as various water treatment facilities around the state do what they need to do if they're on that list. So, and like I said, we're not the only one. The city of Pease is our nearest neighbor that has it. But there's a laundry list of 22 cities that hit the list that are or above the 4 parts per trillion. So, yep, that's us.
Okay.
And Wells 8 and 9. So. But the PUC has significant resources on their website. And if you just do a Google search for PFAS, you can probably find all kinds of articles about it.
Okay, is it getting through landfills or, I mean, how's it?
Well, that's the issue is we don't know. I mean, that'll be part of the investigation to see, where is it? Can we pinpoint a source? I mean,
Well,
I've racked my brain, when I heard Pease, I'm like,
Please
what
do.
have they got
how
going
did
there?
Pease, how did Pease get it,
That would make any logical sense.
I know.
Right, I get your arm around it.
Yeah, but you need a source and, Pease is a very rural community. I mean, yeah, they've got a few gas stations and, but they don't have any major industry up there, in the city of Pease. And their well isn't really that old. I don't remember when they drilled it.
Right, pretty recent, I'd say about 5 years probably.
So. Anyway, so that's the Cliff's Notes version of PFAS.
Okay. I'll look it up.
Anybody else?
No, but there's one other thing before we adjourn. Somebody's been working so extremely hard at City Hall and it is their birthday today. So I'd like you all to join me in a happy birthday to our great Michelle.
You're not gonna make me sing, are you?
Yes, we are all gonna sing now.
The
we have
day's
to.
almost done.
Yeah, let the bears roll, okay? Everybody ready? 3, 2, 1. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Michelle. Happy birthday to you. Yeah, all the hard work you've been doing, you deserve it. So go on and get some dinner, celebrate.
Make motion to adjourn.
Second.
I think that's a jack.
Everybody in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed?
Thanks for singing with me.